Hey everyone! Today we're going to be playing some Gwen jungle, and before we start, I just want to talk about her items and runes. First item that I would go for is Snatcher's Tooth. Really staple item onto her, gives her attack speed, ability power, ability haste, as well as on-hit damage, which are all really good stats on Gwen since she is like an AP bruiser. This would also make her clears a lot faster as well. Next item that I would go for is Rift Maker. This is one of her key items, letting her have more HP, ability power, ability haste, Omnivamp, which is super important, as well as a Void Corruption passive, which makes your damage true damage and negate any armor or magic resist the opponent might have. Next item that I would go for is Steel-Plated Stasis. This is a really good item for Gwen, just in case you have no second skill or you get caught out of position. Then Stasis would allow you to buy a lot more time. Since generally Gwen is squishy, you can't make use of Stoneplate that much, and this is a much better purchase. Other boots enchantment could be Mercury Threads, or you could even go for the Ionian Boots of Lucidity, depending on what happens in the game. Then the next item is a Flex. You could do a lot of items, but generally you would want to go for a Crystalline Reflector. This is the point wherein the opponents have a lot of damage and could probably burst you, especially if you don't have your second skill up. So this Reflector not only gives you more damage, it also gives you a lot more survivability to last longer in a team fight. Because what's good about Gwen is that the longer the team fight goes, the stronger you are because of the Conqueror, plus Rift Maker, as well as all of the lifesteal that you have. Next item that I would go for is Rabadon's Death Cap. Really good on Gwen, allows her damage to be even higher, and since her AP scaling is decent, this is a good pickup for her. Last item that I would go for is Infinity Orb. This gives you even more AP, move speed, magic penetration, and allows your abilities to crit. So basically, when you auto-attack and the opponent is below 35%, your auto-attacks get crit. Alternatives for this, just in case they have a lot of AP, you could go for the Banshee's Veil, gives you MR AP. You could go for the Cosmic Drive if they have a lot of kiting abilities, or you could go for the Guardian Angel if you want to play a bit more safe. So the last three items are situational, but if you would want to go for the standard build, you could just go for the Reflector, Rabadon, and Infinity Orb. Going to the runes, the first rune that I would go for is Conqueror rune. This is her bread and butter rune. She could stack this really easily, and it allows her to become even more sustainable in team fights. Next rune would be Hunter Vampirism with all of the magic damage that she has. This is really good on her, as well as giving her even more sustain. So you have a lot of sustain with the Rift Maker, plus Conquer, plus the Hunter Vampirism, making her sustain really high. And even though they have anti-healing, it will not be enough if Gwen is able to auto-attack or hit properly in a fight. Third rune that I would go for is Hunter Titan. This is really good on Gwen because it gives you more HP as well as additional tenacity against crowd control. Since Gwen is easily kiteable, this would help her chase targets faster. Another alternative for this would be Bone Plating. This is another good rune as well. Makes her duels a lot stronger and makes her a bit more tankier. So either is fine. If they don't have a lot of crowd control, Bone Plating is another great choice. Then the last rune that I would go for is Pathfinder. Since Gwen doesn't have a lot of mobility in her kit, Pathfinder allows her to become a bit faster, making her clears better and her roams a bit faster as well. That is it for Gwen's items and runes, and I will see you guys in game. Going into the game, we're going to be talking about Gwen and how she can be effective in the jungle. In this matchup, we're currently up against Kha'Zix, and in a Gwen vs Kha'Zix matchup, this is favorable towards a Gwen player from level 1 to 4, but 5 onwards, this would be favorable towards the Kha'Zix. The reason why is that once Kha'Zix evolves his first skill, this is really bad for Gwen because she excels in isolated team fights, which is Kha'Zix's specialty, and her second skill doesn't work against melee targets or is not that effective, giving Kha'Zix the edge in the 1v1 duels. The clear that I'm doing here is the full clear. I go for my Krugs, Red, Raptors, Wolves, Blue, then Gromp, so that I would reach level 5 at the soonest possible time. The reason why I go for a full clear rather than contesting the Scuttlers, it's because Gwen's ganks are not the strongest since she has no crowd control in her kit. I would want to get at least Blue Smite plus my ultimate before my ganks become a lot more effective. So when clear the jungle, you would always want to auto-attack before using your skill, as well as having full stacks on your first skill before using it for more damage. And then one tip here is, Gwen is one of the few junglers who could do a double camp clear. When pulling the Raptors, you could hit both camps with your first skill, making your clear a lot more efficient. That way, I would reach my level 5 faster as compared to other junglers. So as you could see, I'm playing it very cleanly, clearing all the camps, and I went for the level 2 on my first skill in order to make my clear a bit faster as well. So Gwen is an AP scaling jungler wherein you would want to get a lot of 2 to 3 items before you actually can pop off in fights. Another thing about Gwen is that you're very squishy. Once your second skill is down, you would have a very hard time if the enemy is noticing you. Aside from the red buff, double camp, you could also do this on the blue buff where you could juggle both the blue and the grok, making your clear a lot more efficient. Kha'Zix, I'm quite confident that he would not invade me because Kha'Zix's early game is not that strong, so I would be able to safely take both of these camps. I reach a critical amount of HP, so I make a mistake of resetting the grok, which makes my clear a bit slower, but you get the gist on how you could do a double camp clear on Gwen. So I reached level 5 at 220. It could have been a bit faster, like 215 if the gromp didn't reset. Once I got my level 5, I now have my ultimate, I have my ghost, plus my blue smite, and this would make my ganks a lot better and a lot more easier for me. Now that my camps have spawned again, I go to my blue buff, I'm able to buy my items as well, and as soon as I see a gank on the bot side, I pop up my ghost, use my ultimate, we take down the Rakan, I have my second skill to dodge any damage, and then I use my ultimate to try and chase down the Diana. But as soon as I see Kha'Zix, I back off because I'm isolated, and I hope the Lucian and Janna are able to take down the Caitlyn, and yes, we're able to take down the Caitlyn as well. So that was a 2 for none exchange, and a great counter gank from us. So Gwen excels better on counter ganks rather than ganking because that way she would be able to output a lot of damage. Early game, her duels 1v1s are also very strong, but her kill potential is not that strong because she can't chase down targets efficiently just yet. So what I want to do on Gwen is to farm again my own jungle. If I don't have my ultimate, I just go on AFK farming. With my red spawning a bit, I check bot lane just in case they would fight. So they decide to go back and I clear my red. Yone does a great gank on top, takes down the Renekton, and this is really good for us because this would allow us to scale properly, especially when it gets to the later stages of the game. Stacking up my first skill, once I have max stacks, I use my first skill, easily take down the red buff. Now that my ultimate is up, I try to gank the bot, but Caitlyn does a great ward bot side, denying the gank, so I go home instead. Since my bot camps are gone, my top camps are up, I buy my Fiendish Codex and go back to the top lane to clear my camps. My objective here in the early game is to complete my Nashers before the first objective. That way, I would be able to dish a lot more damage. While clearing my camp, my Nashers is currently up. I see that Diana and Yasuo are fighting in the mid side. I go for the response. I use my ultimate, second skill, deal a bit of my damage with the first skill, and I have my ultimate to kite. Janna does a great job protecting me with a shield, and we do another great counter gank. And as you could see, I am very, very low. Since I was isolated, Kha'Zix was able to deal a lot of damage. If Janna was not on time, he might have even gotten killed. Early game is really good for us. Renekton's recall was cancelled. I'm able to buy my Nashors as well as boots, which would allow me to chase down my opponents. With the dragon up, I'm thinking if I should start this or I should wait for them to start. I decide to play it a bit safe. I would only contest if the Kha'Zix tries to go for the dragon. I try to look for an isolated target to get the numbers advantage, but Diana was able to get back. And as soon as our Lucian gets caught to the Rakan, I decide to go for the trade. I see that the Renekton is at the bot side as well. If I tried to contest this, it would be a 3v5, which is not favorable for us. Even though I'm at 2-0, I'm not yet at the point wherein I could carry the fights 1v9. Sion was able to take down the top tower, which is good for us. I see that the opponents are trying to contest the Herald. I try to finish it as soon as possible. Dodge a bit. I have my ultimate. Hit a lot of targets. Sion does a great knockup as well. We're able to secure the Rift Herald, and look how strong my damage is if I'm able to hit a lot of targets with my ulti plus my first skill. We take down the Rakan. We take the Herald. I use the Herald. Use it on mid. We get plates plus the tower as well. Since I know that the tower mid will fall down, I go to the top side and try to help the Sion. I think he's able to handle the Renekton, but it's better if I get the kill since I need to get my items as soon as possible. Sion's just a tank and he would be tankly regardless whether he has items or not. So great play all around. Even though our Lucian gets caught, we did the right play of going for the Herald. We're able to take down the mid tower as well, get our Rift Maker, and this is when Gwen's power spike will come. Because once I'm able to complete my Nashor's plus Rift Maker, my DPS will be really high, and the only issue right now is my survivability. If I'm able to free hit in team fights, then I would be able to basically carry those fights. So what I need now, what you want to do with Gwen is to always be in a position to freely hit the opponents. And one way to do that is your second skill. If you fight the opponent in your second skill, they would not be able to target you, allowing you to freely hit your opponents. So that's why our second skill is very, very important, and it's something that you shouldn't just use randomly. And another thing about Gwen is her first skill. It's similar to Set's second skill, wherein if you hit the targets in the middle, it would deal true damage. As much as possible, you would always want to hit when using your first skill, you would always want to hit them in the middle. That way, not only would you deal true damage, you would also get a lot of lifesteal with the Conqueror plus the Rift Maker. So Renekton doesn't overextend, but I'm pretty confident since I have my Rift Maker. We easily burst the Renekton down using my first skill, third skill plus my ultimate. Renekton stood no chance, and currently 6-0, and we're placed in a spot to carry the game. I decided to not go back because there's another fight mid. I look if there's an opportunity for me to help, but as soon as their Lucian and Janna goes down, I decide to just go home. I try to look for someone to catch if Sion's ulti hits someone, but unfortunately it didn't hit anyone, so I just went back instead. Currently it's 8 minutes into the game and we have a lot of money, so what I want to do here is to just clear my camps before going back. And another thing about Gwen is that the reason why you don't need to go flash on this champion is because her third skill has a very, very short cooldown. Her initial dash is a 6-second cooldown, but if you hit a target, it would reduce her cooldown by 3 seconds, allowing her to have a lot of dashes in a team fight. So Diana overextends. I open up my third plus first, as well as my ultimate to slow the target. We take down Diana. My teammates are trying to chase down the opponents. Kha'Zix is very low. We take down the Rakan as well, and we get another team fight win. As much as I would want to go home, since I have a lot of gold, I decide to try to abuse my lead and my positioning. Since I know that Kha'Zix is in the base and their camps are up, I decide to go for the top camps, and I see that Renekton is at the top side, trying to 1v1 the Sion, so I go and help just in case someone might come. Even though I know Sion would be able to take down the Renekton one-on-one, he might not be able to chase him down. With the use of my Ghost plus the boots, I have my third skill also to chase, and my ultimate for the slow. We easily chase down the Renekton. I use my first skill plus ulti to deal massive amounts of damage. So one way wherein you could deal a lot of damage or surprise your opponent with your burst is combining the full stack first skill plus your ulti. That way you would be able to deal about 500 damage, and if the opponent is not ready, you would be able to burst them down. So now that I have 3.7k, I buy my reflector. The reason why I buy my reflector is because of the Kha'Zix. If I have my reflector, he would not be able to burst me down anymore. With the dragon spawning, my teammates went down, and with Sion tanking all of the damage, I open up my ultimate plus second skill. We deal a lot of damage. We take down the Rakan, get another kill. We use our first skill, and look how much damage we deal. We basically burst everyone that we hit. It could have been a pentakill if Lucian didn't get 2 of my kills, but it's okay. What's important is that we win the team fight, and this is Gwen's strength. If she's not noticed in fights, you could burst all of their carries easily. And as you could see in that fight, Sion was tanking all of the damage, which allowed me to free hit the opponent. I know that the mid tower is gonna go down, so I go down and farm my bot instead, clearing the waves, looking to complete my Rabadon, which is about 1,000. So what I want to do is to try and clear my camps unless there's a fight that happens. Lucian suddenly out of position. As soon as Kha'Zix jumps, I go for the counter initiate with my second skill plus ultimate. I chase down the opponent. Look at the damage on the Rakan. Easily burst him down. I still have my ultimate. I decide to go back because I need to protect my carries. Lucian goes down, but I'm able to get the counter kill. My third skill is up again, and I know I wouldn't be able to chase down the Kha'Zix because he has his leap. So what I'm doing right now is applying pressure on the bot side. It's currently a 3v4, and as soon as I see that there are 2 people covering the top side, I know that I would be able to take down this inhibitor tower. So this is Gwen's strength, and this is how strong her potential could be if I'm able to get an early lead. And she would only get scarier as the game goes on. So I tried to take down the inhibitor tower, but I decide against it because if I'm caught in a bad position, I have a big bounty on my head and I do not want them to have a comeback. Even though the inhibitors, I'm not able to take down the inhibitor, it's okay because we've already taken down the mid plus bot towers, which is good enough. Now that I have my Rabadon's death cap, this would only make my damage a lot higher and my burst a lot scarier as well. With the Baron up, I try to take down my blue buff before starting any fights. My team decides to fight on the top side. Sion backdoors the tower. I see that our team is not in the best position. They're fighting a 5v3. Yon is taking a red buff as well. And I go for some limit test. Look at the damage, ultimate plus first skill. Immediately put Kha'Zix into half HP. Use my ghost as well. Rakan's able to crowd control me and I decide to not chase. Because if Renekton stuns me, I would easily get bursted down. Yone decides to fight mid-side. I try to protect him. Kha'Zix might read him. So we go for the Kha'Zix instead. I have my smite. We chase him down. I have my third skill plus my ultimate to chase the Kha'Zix. I miss my ulti, but the second stack hits. But Rakan is there to counter me again. Look at the damage of my ultimate. Tons of damage. I dodge the Rakan. Try to go for a flank. Look for someone at the backside. My team is able to clean up the front. Lucian lives with 1 HP. Yone does a great job as well. And we are able to clean up. I thought I would be able to catch someone, but my team was able to handle it themselves. With that, their nexus is exposed and we end the game. So that's it for our Gwen jungle. This shows how strong she could be and what you want to do when playing Gwen. So you'd always want to make your teammates initiate first. 99% rating. We get MVP 1209. Very good. Most damage taken, most damage dealt. Sion of course took more damage, but we get the win and hopefully you guys enjoyed our Gwen jungle. So that is it for me and I will see you guys next time. Peace out. Ciao ciao. I'm finally facing it all. Fearless.